Hello again, guys. It's Gregola Productions here, and welcome back to another episode of the GPWS.
Talk tick, talk tick, talk tick.
Well, now it's almost 12 o'clock and I'm here in a stew. Should I stay or go back home? I don't know what to do. One thing that I know for sure, that girl and I are through. Still hearing tick-tock, tick, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick, tick-tock, tick.
Talk tick, talk tick, talk tick.
Tick-tock.
So in this episode, I've got a little bit of explaining to do before I do anything. So let's just take a moment and listen to Greg here, shall we? As you can see, there was a whole strictly ad-libbed fiasco with the WestCloX Sphinx. And I already explained this in the other video. I used and where's the here we go. This is the rotor and this is the stator here. I've finally learned the names of these two parts. So I know that there's no washer on that. There's supposed to be a washer there. This goes in here, and it's supposed to spin, and it's supposed to have no friction whatsoever. Well, I've been, try as I may to get this to work right. I think I'm just making it worse, because now it doesn't want to, now it works worse than it ever did before. And these were in my repair attempts, so I went, okay, this is getting nowhere. So, and I was thinking kind of yesterday, I was messing around with the Columbia Graphenola, filming the next part of that series, which is on the Gregola Record Show channel. For some bizarre reason, I kind of thought about this clock again, and then I thought about something. During my experiments with trying to fix the rotor, I found out that a later WestClox rotor will actually go in, and this one has a washer on it, will actually go in here, and it'll spin just fine. This is how this is supposed to work. But because this is just ever so slightly, I don't know, I guess I'd call that an arbor, maybe? Or a pole, I don't know. This is ever so slightly smaller than the original one from 1952. This part here is from the 70s. I think it's from 73 or something. We're actually about to find out, so I'll tell you in a second. Anyways, this later rotor fits into this. And yes, I guess I could call this a damaged stator. And it actually spins how it's supposed to. And I've done electrical tests with this as well. And yes, it does start and everything. And, you'd think, oh, well, that's great. Just put this in. And then just use the, well, I guess, Greg, if you don't want to fix it, just put this in. And then just go get the original gear and put it on there. Well, I tried that. So here are the two gears. This is the original 1953 gear, and this is the one from 1976 or so. And as you can tell, they're different. This one's already taller, and this one's shorter. Now, I tried putting the original gear on the 70s rotor, and it wouldn't fit. It just slid right off. Well, actually, technically, well, it fit, but it was a loose fit. It wouldn't. These are supposed to be a friction fit, but it just came right off. So that was the end of that. I didn't invest any more time into that. And I've known this for, I don't know, about a month now, maybe 2 months. And then only yesterday, I'm thinking to myself, well, what if I take this here and glue it on to the 1970s rotor? But I kept thinking, I was going, you know what? I don't want to do like a Jake leg repair. I don't want to do a botch repair job involving glue and all kinds of other crap in there. That's going to be, I'm going to obviously not entirely throw that method out the window, because that would work. But here's a better idea. Why don't I just file this gear down ever so slightly, because this gear works on its own rotor, obviously, but it's slightly too long for the clock movement. It scrapes into the gear next to it, and I had the whole thing assembled with this gear and the 70s rotor on there. So this is a 70s gear, that's a 70s rotor, and it's just ever so slightly too long, and I think it's because of that bottom portion there. Actually, I think the bottom portion is how it mounts to the, or how it fits on. I don't know. As you can see, I don't know what the name is, but I think that has something to do with how it fits on. And, you know, I kept, like, interchanging gears and trying all these different things, but I think filing this gear down and putting it on this rotor and putting it in the Sphinx would be the most optimal idea here. And as a last resort, I can put this gear, I can glue this gear on. And I've counted the teeth on both of these. They both have 8 teeth. From the 1950s and whatnot, Westclox doesn't appear to change the design from the rotor that much. And here is the actual stator for the 1970s one. And just for curiosity's sake, let's actually see if this fits in here. Probably will. Well, would you look at that? I'll do a rotor trade. And let's find out where this stator and rotor came from, shall we? They both came from this, along with a lot of extra screws, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in the series somewhere, that there was a parts clock that basically gave its life for the Sphinx. This is a 1970s Westclox Oracle, and I'll explain what happened to the crystal here in a second. But yeah, I was surveying the entire situation, and I'm like, okay, this clock is going to be worth more money. It's a better looking clock. It's a better quality clock. I might as well just part this one out for everything it's got to get this one to run properly. And if I can somehow rig up the original rotor to work on the newer stator, then I'll do that somehow. So, you know, but this is pretty ugly right now. And, yeah, I don't really see much of a loss in filing this newer gear down to fit an original or an older Westclox, you know what I mean? And this clock is actually basically the same as the Westclox orb. But, I also did a series on this one, like the Westclox orb. It was a 1-part video done back in 2017, I think. No, wait, no, it's 2018, early 2018. And I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I completely busted the crystal off this thing. And really, that video's not much to see. I learned a lot about these clocks, and this is part of where the mentality came from that I've been saying through like part 1 and part 2 of this series, that these clocks aren't meant to come apart. And I guess they really aren't, to some extent. I mean, you look at the Westclox Sphinx over here, even though this is earlier, and you go, well, you know, like, where's the replacement parts? There's really, I don't even know if there were any replacement parts available for the earlier electric clocks. These units really don't seem, both new and old, don't seem to need or don't seem to have replacement parts. So if I were to even, and here's another point why I should part this out. If I were to find another Sphinx, it would probably be in better shape than this one is, realistically. Like, honestly, this would be a parts clock at this point. I might as well just part out something worse than it. And I don't think there'll be any particular servicing going on in this part of the series. I just want to take a second to talk to you guys about what I'm going to do here. Okay, let's see. Get that screw out. Part it. I'm parting both of, or this whole, yeah, as you may or may not have, the whole thing is, parting the whole thing out. Nice plastic, whoops, nice plastic back for you. At least the orb from 54 gave you an aluminum or even tin back. Anyway, this isn't good for much. So we got that. We've got a metal case. We've also got, and I believe there was an earlier version of this clock where there was a knob sticking out of the bottom. And for information's sake here, I'll just say this. This orb, or I'm sorry, it is basically the orb, but anyway, this oracle design has been around since at least 1950 or so. We all know that the Westclox orb had this design, and it's from 1954. And it had some minor differences, such as a actual time setter at the bottom here somewhere, instead of having hands that having whatever the heck this thing's supposed to be, some kind of setting knob on the front there. We all know that it had this design, more or less, when we opened it up and serviced it and did all the tried and true rotor pin punch stuff. And yes, that method is still good. It just, I ended up doing it wrong, which caused this to have a problem. So yada yada yada, this is from the 50s, this design. And the Oracle in this style here, it even had the same dial, I'm pretty sure, was made in the 50s. I'm pretty sure there was a gold one. There was one with a gold case. There's one with a silver case. And they look better than this. This one looks kind of... Well, after I screwed it up, too. That didn't help. But, yeah. This design has been around for... Actually, I think this design is older than this design. Man, oh man, we're learning lots today here, viewers. This whole design is pretty ugly now. And what I'm going to do, just in case any of you want to actually service one of these, other than the back coming off... Oh, and I'll get to the date stamp in a minute here. If you actually want to service one of these, what you do, and I didn't realize this in 2018, you take a pin punch, stick it in the hole, and hammer it out. If I can find a hammer, that'd be fantastic. Come on. Is this actually coming out? Oh, not really. Not particularly. I don't know where we got with that. I'm pretty sure we just dislodged every last tab in this thing. And I've also managed to get the knob to spin by holding the hand. And you know what, viewers? The more I'm looking at this, you basically have to break the crystal to access this, unless someone else has a better idea. Let me just try and get this off. We don't seem to want to come off. Not really. Okay, well, this is kind of a lost cause then. If the hands don't come off at this point. Actually, you could probably take a wrench and somehow pry this thing off. Or something like that. Some kind of, I don't know. And I think we've also dislodged every single tab in here. And now we can see the motion work in this. It's funny, you know, we never thought we'd see the motion work on the Sphinx, but oh boy was I wrong. Well, I never thought I'd see the motion work in this clock either, but I am now. So, anyway, I should probably stop wasting time on this thing, hey? And I've just realized the case is technically interchangeable with the original versions of this clock because it's got the time setting knob that sticks out the bottom. I think it would have been better if they just didn't have this. I don't like this design. Actually, it looks kind of ugly, even with a crystal on. This didn't look that great. Man, that's the 70s for you, hey? Some of the styles and stuff they were doing. Let's see here, where's the date stamp? Westclox Canada Limited, great, we've gotten that far. Where's the date stamp? Okay, so it's January of 1974. See, there's a 1 and a 74 there. Or maybe that means something else, but chances are that's the date. So it's January of 1974. Well, Westclox was not making great products in 1974, except for the Baby Ben and Big Ben, which I'm pretty sure, like my Style 8 series I did back in July, I'm pretty sure they had the screwed together Style 8 Baby / Big Ben movements. And then everything else, I don't know. But yeah, this is not pretty, or something that we need to really, we don't have to save that. So now that we've justified ourselves, or at least I hope so, in getting a certified ugly parts clock to use for the Sphinx, we can now resume this series. So I hope you I hope you got something out of this video. And yeah, I'll see you in part 3? Okay, we'll see you in part 4 then. So yeah, see you there, guys. One more thing I'm going to shoehorn in here before I go. If we look at the electrical wiring on the original Stator here, you got all your copper wiring here. Or not copper, is it copper in this part? I don't know if that's, I don't know what that wire is made out of. And then you've got this here, which is slightly damaged. As you can see, there's one strand of wire here, which is longer than all the others, because these ones snapped off. And I don't know if that's going to be an electrical safety hazard here when I'm working on this. Well, or when it's plugged in. I don't know if a modern wire stripper will actually work with cloth wire. I guess it should, shouldn't it? A modern wire stripper? You'd think it would work with cloth wire. I don't know. Anyway, the only thing I was kind of debating on is just making these two wires ever so slightly shorter, but we don't have much room to work with. So, I don't know. I guess I might just cut this one off here too. Actually, that'd be the smart idea. Just get that outlier there, and get that and cut that off and just go to town, I guess. Anyway, we'll worry about that when we're actually soldering the new power cord to this. So, anyways, viewers, yeah, we'll leave it there for now.